Carmelita with us today, coming from California. She's going to share her very dynamic mom journey with us. So I'm really excited to chat with her and about her goals and aspirations as well. She's got lots of stuff going on. So, Carm, thank you so much for being with us today. I'm super stoked to share your journey.
Oh my goodness! Hey, yes, it's been a mom week, so let's talk.
I know, right? Well, not to surprise or have any spoilers here, but you have two kids with like a 10-year age gap. So let's talk about that mom journey, how you got started with that first one. Like what happened? What happened?
Well, it was a mansion in Sunset. No, I was a hot little 20-year-old living my best life in Los Angeles, and there you go. Had to move back home, and that's that. Wasn't planned, but that's okay. I love my son to pieces. He is the best thing in the whole wide world. Yeah, and then 10 years later, his dad and I made the mistake again. Not a mistake. No one's a mistake here, but yeah. So that's their 10-year gaps. 20 and 30, you would think I would have learned my lesson.
But, older and wiser.
I just hit my 30. So I was 29, then 30. No, I was 30. But a fresh 30. I got the wisdom now. Now I have the wisdom. Okay, now I have it. Right. But I love the age gap. I love it. I know it wasn't planned, but for me, for my life, it works. I got a built-in babysitter.
That is smart. That is really smart. But so what is it like to parent kids with such a dynamic age gap?
Well, you would think that, okay, well, so my mind's going 100 places, but one thing is that I have to remember that my teen is a teen and not the other parent. 'Cause I'm also a single mom, and so, yeah, my teen is a teen, not the other parent. And then my daughter thinks she's also the other parent. So like the 5-year-old, so I have to be careful. It's great to have that built-in babysitter, but I also have to be cautious of the fact that, no, he's a teen and he needs to live his teen life. And, yes, there's responsibilities that you have in a house because you live here. You need to earn your kid. I'm just kidding. You got stuff you need to do. But at the same time, it's not to overload him with stuff. I think it was on Saturday. I told him something. I forget what it was, but he goes, "Mom, today's my day off." And I just laughed. I was like, you know what? You right.
I mean, damn, I hate when they do that.
Like, you're right.
Why they gotta be so smart?
So I was thinking for Mother's Day, me and the little one, we're going to go do our little mani-pedi thing together. And I was like, I'll let my teen stay at home and not feel guilty. I'll be like, this is your day off, son. But yeah, no, just remembering that he's a teen, not the other parent. Yes, you have some responsibilities, but you also, I don't want to overbearing him with asking for help and wanting him to watch his sister because he still needs to have his life too, and school with everything. And then also, it's just they're different. They're very different, my teen, he's in this space now where he wants to have his own space. He doesn't want to be bothered. He wants to be in his room or whatever, hang out with his friends. He wants his own space. Whereas my daughter, she'll have her moments where she's like, okay, I'm done, but because she's grown, but she wants, she wants to hang out. She wants attention. And so it's just, and then it's not feeling guilty about not spending as much time on my teen. But it's he wants me to leave him alone, though. So it's that thing.
Well, yeah, it's you have to be around enough, but also give them that space for independence. I feel like that's so tricky.
It is too. It is. It's very much so. And then he's a guy, so he doesn't, show his emotions that much. So I don't know how you feel, what's going through your head. But I check in with him. He's like, yeah, I'm good. So, yeah.
Okay. Kid.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, okay.
All right then. All right then. So when you first found out you were pregnant at 20 versus 30, how are you different with both of those situations? And how do you parent
Mm.
differently? Because you yourself have grown so much in 10 years.
Yeah. When I was 20, that was just scary. I thought that
Mm-hmm.
all these things I would have to give up and not be able to do. Like I was in college
Mm-hmm.
and I was in LA. I was pursuing a dance career and all these things. So my mind was like, I'm not going to dance anymore. I'm not going to be able to dance anymore. I'm gonna be out of shape. I'm gonna be all these
Right.
things. Cause, 10, what, well, 15 years ago, it was different in like Hollywood, like you didn't see that many people outside of like, this little
Yeah.
certain image, being out, dancing or whatnot. So I just thought everything I had to give up and it was scary. But, for me, that was a life-changing moment for me because just, speaking honestly, I had like a encounter with God, because
Mm.
keeping my son, I wasn't going to keep my son. I was just, I was always someone that was just like, I didn't believe in abortions, but then it was me. It
Mm-hmm.
was different, it was like, oh, this is my life,
Understandable.
but I had an encounter and I just heard this voice say, you doubting whether you could take care of this child is doubting my power. And I was like, I just broke down crying in the bathroom. It was a whole
Woo.
thing. It a life-changing moment. And so I moved back
Wow.
to Sacramento and I did not stop school. I just kept going to college, just enrolled in Sac State, and I just kept doing what I had to do. I was dilated during my finals, had my baby, went back to school. Like it's like cost and go mode. Yeah.
Wow.
And so with my son, I realized that it was, I don't know how I did it. Looking back, I'm like, how did you finish college? I still finished within 5 years. Finish college.
That's
Okay, and I was
impressive.
messing up my classes. Okay, there's some like I don't know how I did that, but that happened. So I know,
Wow.
right? So it was like I still finished college, and then I still kept dancing. I still dance. My whole business right now is centered around dance. So all those things that I was thinking that I would have to give up, well,
Yeah.
essentially I did, but I didn't lose out because it looked differently than what I thought at age 20,
Mm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so at age 30, it's like, okay, so it was like that journey with Chasten was all about um, like finishing college and starting your career. I became a special education
Yeah.
teacher and like all this stuff. And then with Eden, I decided it would be a great idea to become an entrepreneur. And so, I don't know
Great.
why. Yeah, it's like
Awesome.
that happened. So two, I started a business. And so now it's like I'm back into that space where I'm a mom and I'm like on the go and doing all these things again. It's not college, it's this entrepreneurship life. But
Mm-hmm.
and one thing I was thinking about is my parents' style has changed because with Chasten, because my life was so structured, there was a time I had to be at school. There was a time where I had to be
Yeah.
at work and all these things. I was more structured with him. Like he had
Ah.
not calendars, visual schedules and
Mm-hmm.
reward systems with it. And with Eden, I'm just
Mm-hmm.
like, go to bed. Like there's no structure. But I'm trying to find it for myself because as an entrepreneur, it's
Mm.
like, there's
Absolutely.
so much flexibility in how I could or construct my week.
Yeah.
It's like,
Absolutely.
and
I
I
get
don't know
that.
how to do it.
Because I feel that so much too. Like I like to say I'm a part-time single parent, which is because my husband travels
Yeah,
so much. He's gone like literally half the
yeah,
year. So half the time I literally have to do everything on
yeah.
my own. And I get to, create my days and my schedules and like sometimes that's
It
overwhelming
is.
because then it's like I do this and then I do that and I try to like block off the time to do this and then that and then I don't want to write or I don't want to edit. I'm not in that space, that
Yes,
zone. And
yes.
I'm like, oh well this
Ye-
sucks. And then it's just like like compromising and I get backed up and I'm like,
Mhm.
oh. So I feel yeah,
Yeah.
like having that structure, creating
Creating
that
that
structure
structure
and that
exactly. So as relates to her life,
it's
she doesn't
hard.
have that same structure that he had when he was a child. I was like,
Whatever.
yeah, I'm like,
Okay.
it's 9 o'clock and I'm getting ready to go to bed, right? Because I'm done my day. And I'm like, why are you not in bed yet? I'm
Mm.
like, oh, because I didn't tell you to. Like, it's just like, oh.
Oopsies.
Yeah, yeah. So just the space that I am in reflects in how I parent my children, that's for sure. But I think for both of them, I still feel like I was that parent that like really like was invested in my kids' interest. So it's like whatever they were interested in, like I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to invest in that and nurture that because I think it's that creator in me, that entrepreneurship
Mm.
spirit in me is like, no, this could be your thing. So let's go ahead. You want to act? Well, then let's go act. You want to do this? Let's go do that. So
Try it. You never
yeah.
know. That's awesome. I love that. Uh, what? So, because you were a first time parent at 20 and a second time parent at 30, what lessons have you learned that you would like to share that might help other parents not do them?
Right. Yeah.
How can you help us avoid some
Right.
holes in the ground?
Right. It's there's not going to be these perfect situations, and life is very much so
Mm,
unpredictable, because even like with me being a different mom between 20 and 30, like the type of single parent I was different because in my 20s, you know, I was their dad wasn't in her life because of his choice, and just like, and then he
hmm
came around, and so we were learning how to like, parent together and all that stuff, and my son had to deal with that. Whereas in my daughter, he passed away when she was 3. You know what I mean? So it's like different. Like so I'm like, I'm now like a mother to 2 kids that don't have a father, not by choice, but because he's not here. So I have to be more sensitive, like to their emotions and their memories of him. And they both
Mm,
have different memories of him, you know? And so
hmm
that's a thing. But within that, give grace. Like just the lesson is grace is enough. I you,
I love that.
you
That's
don't have to
great.
know everything. You don't have to have it all planned out because even if you try to have it all planned out, like it's most likely not gonna go that way. So just be
hmm
open to the things that life throw at you and just know that you will have the grace to show up, and to be who you need to be in that moment. The perfect example of like showing up with the grace was like, and this is just can be applied to all situations, but my son, so I'm like, this is during the pandemic, so I'm like upstairs working or something. He's downstairs building some crafting or whatever, right? And so I hear him yelling, and I'm thinking he's saying, Mom, Eden, right? And so I'm like, oh my God, my child's like passed out somewhere. You always think the worst as a mom, right? It's the worst case
Yeah, yeah,
scenario when
yeah.
your kid yelling.
Yeah.
So I run downstairs and I look and I realized he said, Mom, I'm bleeding because this kid was like building a robot using a box and a freaking knife and stabbed himself. And so, and so there's like blood gushing everywhere. And in that, you would think
Oh my
you would like
gosh.
scream and like freak out, right? But let me tell you about Grace. I don't, it just came over me and I was so calm. I was just like, okay, let's just take these pants that are on the ground. We're going to wrap you up and we're going to go to the hospital. And I just went immediately. And they're like, why didn't you call the ambulance? I'm like, I just operated in that moment on what was happening. But I had so
Yeah.
much peace and power. I was calm the whole time. That's grace. And like that shows up for you for all these mom situations or unplanned pregnancies, like all these things as scary as
hmm
it looks or may seem, like grace will show up for you and you will be okay.
So how have you navigated your kids losing their father? That sounds like such a
Mm.
tricky thing
Yeah.
to
It was
handle.
so hard too because, we were both in this space where we were upset with him. So as my son was really upset. And so like
Mm.
within that space that, he passed. And so it was like the emotions switched. You know what I mean? That was hard. So you go from being
Tough.
angry at
Yeah.
someone to like being so sad that they're gone, and with that comes regret and I wish I didn't say that. I wish things were different
Mm.
and all that, but
Yeah.
love is so important, because that's what helped us. We had a community of people that just showed up. They just showed up, and for my
Mm.
son, so with my son, we had got connected with someone that can give us some grief therapy sessions. So we counseling sessions. So she just gave her services. So we didn't have to pay for it. She just was like, I'm here for you, And so we did so we both
Awesome.
separately did some sessions with her. And so I felt like that was helpful, to just catch it right at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
My son got into a space where he was okay. I think he did 2 different therapy sessions because, with kids, they're still learning how to process their
Mm.
emotions and they probably don't even have the words to explain how they're feeling. So we did his in stages. We did
Mm-hmm.
the first round and then we went on. And then when we saw some things coming up again, we enrolled back in therapy. And so, yeah. And they said, he's okay now. He goes, but, just check in. Maybe he might need it later. And I think the biggest
Yeah.
thing for him was that he knew that if he got to experience when you're not feeling well emotionally, that you
Mhm.
don't have to hold it in and mom is here to talk to you like you're not alone in this. So he might need it later, but because of what
Mm-hmm.
he went through as a teen and as a child, he knows that, oh, I can get support when I need it because that was just the motto. That's what was expected. It wasn't expected to like bury your emotion and not do anything. It was expected to go get therapy. We don't need
Right.
any more. The
Smart.
world has enough going on. We need to take care of ourselves. Enough crazy in
Yes,
the
it
world.
does. Yes, she
Yeah,
does.
And so for him, and then it was just like, just, he chose to rewrite the story. He chose to have a different narrative. Like the way he talked about his dad changed. And I'm fine with that. I'm not going to be the one to be like, well, you used to. No, like, I'm just like I care about your emotions, and I did care. I cared about your dad. I left him. That's what made it really hard. That made
Yeah.
me so angry. And that made me grieve so hard. So that I get it and I care was just so important. And then just being there and not being overwhelming, but just how are you feeling? What are your thoughts? Just letting them say and not
Mm.
projecting. Like if it's Father's Day, to not be like, oh, it's Father's Day. How are you sad today? Like no, like just how are you feeling? How are your thoughts? And go from there. Um, and then for my daughter, for her, she was little, and so she was 2, turning 3. So she doesn't remember anything from when, he was around. He was around more with her than our son. I mean, in terms of like engaged, in the whole parenting thing.
Right.
Um, you know, and so for her, she talks about him and uh, she likes, we have all the videos, photos. She wants to look at videos and photos. And, he was a singer, so he has
Oh.
songs that so he can hear songs that some of them are all of them, but like the songs that he, that he created and all that. She has a little playlist, so it's good for her. And then I had to remind my son to have grace with her because she'll bring up dad or say something sometimes, and he's like, why are you saying that? I think at one time he was like, she's just trying to make me mad. I was like, she's 4. I was like, she's having it. She doesn't know. She doesn't
Yeah.
know that when she says this, that is going to trigger you. She doesn't have no idea. And I was like, you're the one to recognize that. I have to just be sensitive to their individual needs. We connected. I mean, we are still like very much, even after his passing, closer to his side of than we were before. And that helps. Yeah, it helps a
Oh, well, that's
lot. And
nice.
so, the love is still felt. And we share memories and we laugh and we have a good time. And I think that has also helped in the healing journey. It's just feeling the love of the family.
Oh, that's awesome. I mean, that you can keep his like memory alive and they can connect with him because I can imagine that's really hard, like, especially for the little one, like,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
They're okay.
uh, what do you, that's
I'm
good. Are you
okay.
okay
Yeah, I
though?
did
Are
my
you
therapy.
okay? What do you, what do you find what's like the biggest obstacle or the hardest thing for you as a single
Right.
mom?
That whole like just like work life balance is such an obstacle. And like I
Mm,
said, I'm an entrepreneur now. So even more so than it was when I was working, a 9 to 5, not 9 to 5, but 6 to 3. I'm 7 to 3. But just creating that balance is so hard. And oh, I was talking to my life coach about it too. And she was like, and I was telling her how, what's my time was so structured, like all this stuff. And she goes, well, she goes, well, what's one thing that's different now? And then I couldn't think. She was like, you're an entrepreneur. I was like, oh yeah. So, so that's the hard thing is
got
finding that
that.
work life balance and knowing how to, oh, just, I don't even know how to say it. Like just we were talking about it earlier, just constructing that day and that week. Like,
Yeah.
how do I, and like you said, be in the focus, like you said, you're going to do that day. You know what I mean? It's like, if I'm not, for me, like when it comes to like writing, even if it's writing an email, no matter what it is, I have to be in the right space for that to do it. Like mentally, I'm like, no, I think I'd rather make some social media content or something or creative.
Gotta start somewhere. I also find that sometimes like having a routine, it's like, what's the
Yeah.
point?
Yeah.
It all goes to
Oh,
hell in a handbasket
yeah.
anyway. It's like
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
best laid
Yeah.
plans.
I just stick with that because it's like one of my pet peeves too is wasting time, right? And so I hate
Mm.
it. I get mad at myself. So I realized that if I hadn't started working by I was starting to work by 10 o'clock and I didn't get like one morning. And so I was like, okay, let's try waking up earlier. And so it's like, even though I have the freedom to not start working in the morning, I could work later, my body doesn't like it. So I'm feeling these type of ways. And so I had to make the choice to be like, okay,
Right.
you have all the freedom that you want, but you some part of you likes to go to bed early and wake up, go to bed at a decent time and wake up at the day so you can be in work mode by night. And I like to have an hour and a half to myself in the morning before I wake up those kids to school. So
Mm.
unfortunately, I got to be up by 5:30, not out of bed, just wake up my eyes by 5:30 so that I can get up. I like doing like a 10-minute movement, something like very gentle, low impact. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
be hopping around, barely alive. I still got my pajamas on. I'm literally rolling off the bed, no bra, doing my workout. Just
Something to just wake you up though and like have
exactly.
that
And when I say
connectivity.
I do that, I just turn it on
Yeah.
Sunday. So it's been what, 3 days, 4 days, 3 days, and I like it.
It's
Whatever, I'm
okay.
doing it. And that, do a quick little 4 minute or less, 5 minutes or less, little breathing meditation, read a little bit of my Bible, and then get my day started.
Mm-hmm.
I'm good. Get the kid now. I can get the kids up and get ready. I have my time, and I've noticed my mood has. They said, I mean, oh, they only say this, that research has only proven that elevates your mood. I'm like, oh my god, my mood is elevated. Like, who knew? I imagine that.
Imagine
Oh
that,
my god, I'm
right?
more productive. What? Like,
That's
yeah,
funny.
but
It's
like I
funny how
said,
that works.
that's just my morning. My morning and my night, and so it's only day 4. So let's see if we can just keep this going and find our flow. But that's the challenge. That is very much other challenge, finding that flow.
Yeah. But I also feel like every time you get into a groove or you find a
Something
rhythm,
happens.
it changes. Like this, it's like a new season of life. Like you're like, yeah, I finally got this down. And then you're like, oh, we're going
Yes.
this way now.
Mm-hmm.
You know? That's how I feel
Yeah, no,
anyway.
yeah, exactly. So,
We've talked a little bit before in like our discovery call about the road to healing and finding grace and finding that space for yourself. Can you talk a little bit about your healing journey and what that process has been like for you,
yeah,
especially as a mom?
once I started doing the work for like Greek, having take I had actually before we lost the kid's dad, I had started therapy sessions because I knew it was just time to
Hmm.
let go of the emotional connection that I had with him in terms of like wanting to still be a family, like all these things. Like I had to just like grieve the relationship, you know? So I literally
Ah,
started that
gotcha.
process. And like, and I was like interesting. I was like, how do you grieve a person that's already alive, that's still alive? You know, literally, I Pinterest that. And so it's like, I, right. So I
I
like
love it.
enrolled in therapy. And so I got some help with that. And, you know, and then we lost him. So I wanted to switch therapists. Had to find someone else. So it took a minute. And it took a minute for me to find someone that I could like open it to. Let's just be honest with that. Felt like my
Yeah,
assistant
it does.
therapist helped for a little bit for the season that I needed him to, but then after that, I couldn't go deeper with him because I have this thing mindset about him. So,
I
so
get
I
that.
had to
I
switch
totally get
with
that.
this next therapist. That ironically, as I was switching therapists, then this happened, and so she helped me with the beginning stages of the grieving in terms of like dealing with the anger that I was having, and feeling, for
Hmm.
just for things to happen just before the passing and after the passing, just so much. So that was helpful to do with that situation. It's like, I was like, well, since you're already open, let's just go ahead and keep on dealing with stuff. And so I went through, and during that, I think I started healing, or stuff from my childhood start coming up, and I started doing,
Mm.
oh my
All the goodies.
gosh, like everything.
All
All
the
of it
goodies.
started coming up. And just did the work. Like, and I started healing just from like, the relationship that I had with my dad. Like, we just went there. Like, we went there. I had
Hmm.
another therapist. I think with her, that's when we went the deepest. Like, we went deep to the core, with some of the stuff that I had dealt with. That I realized, oh, this is why you're anxious. This is why, you were feeling insecure and it wasn't had low self-esteem. It had nothing to do with who you were as a person. It gave you this perception, but it wasn't the truth of who you are.
That's a
And that was the
good
growth from that
separation
healing
there.
journey. That reality. This is not who I am. This is what
That's
I went
awesome.
I went through. And yeah, and so now I'm in this space now where it's just I'm in like life coaching. Like I feel like I just had surgery and now I'm like in physical therapy where it's like
Oh, I love
yeah.
that
Don't let me
analogy. That's
walk. Don't let me walk again.
amazing.
And that's why I'm in that state of where I'm like, let me walk
Yeah.
again. That's free of all this. But let's like, the band-aids are there, the wounds are healing. It's not there's no toxic stuff in there anymore. But got it. We just have to continue to heal.
Well, I think that's so important because I feel like I don't know if this is resonates with you at all, but like I think that becoming a mom like so much changed for me, and I was like, why do I do that? And I had all these idiosyncrasies, and I was like, where do those come from? I don't want my kid to have those. Or like, what's this coming up? And like I have my own journey, but this podcast is not about me, it's about you. And and it wasn't until like I kind of knew it was wrong, but it wasn't until like my son was here, I was like, whoa, we got to work on this because we do not want to
Yeah.
create another cycle or continue the pattern. And it's not healthy. It's not going to get anybody anywhere in the long term. So it's like, but doing that work and taking that look at yourself and saying, well, hey, wait a minute, is not easy, and you have to really be willing and open to change, like, and or understanding what it is about you that makes you tick, and going into new situations and relationships, etc., and kind of making that be
No,
known.
I resonate with what you're saying right now. I think for me, like one thing that I realized is like kind of an issue within my family is the way we talk to each other. One day, I'm keeping hope alive that I'll be married, you know.
And
Right.
marriage is a whole other
I think
thing.
that's why I've been
Marriage is a
single
whole
for
other
so
thing
long. God's
too.
like, look,
Whoa.
listen, that's a whole nother like ball game. Let's just work on the one you're playing right now because you barely holding it together with this. We'll worry about that later. Let's get you together in this space.
Oof. I just came from a wedding with my best friend this weekend, and he's my age, late 30s, and just getting married. And I made a comment to his mom, and I was like, "That's Chris running his own race." And she's like, "Yeah." I was like, "He just does everything in his own time." And but I just think about like in retrospect, he's always just like when he gets there is when he's gonna get there. But it's true. Like we're all running our own race. But one of the best things was the people who like talked about the wedding, and I just think this was very like poignant. Is was one of his best friends who's known him forever, and they're like, "Oh, we've been married for like 10 years, and we got to tell you, we don't know what we're doing either." And it was just like, yes, because nobody tells you how difficult marriage is, and you think you know somebody, and then the way they poop annoys you, the way they breathe annoys you, the way it's just like, it's a whole other like thing. And I won't go any further down that rabbit hole, but it is like, I think I'm like, why didn't anybody tell me? Like, I joke, I'm like, I have two
Yeah,
toddlers. Like, I got a
yeah,
5-year-old and a 50-year-old. Like, come on. And both of you are a pain in my ass. Anyway, I digress. What do you feel has been your biggest accomplishment on this
Oh,
healing journey?
right. I would say my biggest accomplishment on this healing journey is seeing it through. And also realizing that it's not over because there may be, I mean, granted, my
Ooh,
therapist
love
did
that.
say, okay, we're done with dealing with the inner child stuff. We're good there. Like, you're in a good space. Let's just focus on life coaching. So I thought I graduated. Like, hey, we graduated, you know. But, you know, there's going to be some stuff that pops up later in life. But the fact that I'm like, the fact that I've graduated and I'm done, and that was some hard work. Oh my, we're talking
Oh
about
yeah.
huge feelings
Yeah, it
with
is.
you. Like it wasn't just like it staying in the room with me and my therapist. I had to go talk to some
Yeah.
people. It was one day where God was like, okay, go talk to this person, right? And I literally was like a child. I was like, no. And I was in my room, sitting like cross-legged and like no, and I was like I was in a daze. And I was like, and when I came to self, I was like, Vivian, I'm not stubborn right now. This is the definition of stubborn. Like you're literally on the floor saying, no, you're not gonna do this. So as I'm doing that, my best friend just randomly comes over. I go to her and I'm like,
Yeah.
so God just told me that I need to go talk to this whoop de woo, and I don't want to. And so she coached me through that to where I ended up having a conversation and more tears, more chatting, but it needed to happen. It was a step in that healing journey, you know. But see how things align so that you can so like yeah. So my shepherd told me to have a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
The God was like, this time. I was like, no. Then my best friend ironically came over that very moment to coach me through.
No, but that's so true. I think it's so much easier to brush it off, and the work is hard. Like looking yourself in the mirror, being like, "Is this how I want to be? Is this what I want to do? Is that how I want to operate?" Like,
It's
it's not an
not.
easy like task, you know? It's not, and then to stay with it and look yourself in the mirror to see what
Yeah.
your part in it all is, because at the end of the day, even if somebody harmed you, physically, mentally, emotionally, like you're still a pawn in that whole situation. So, getting to a point where you stand up for yourself or you take ownership of your place and
Mhm.
accountability, that's not easy either. Because it's easy to, I think, in a way, it's easy to play victim and be like, oh, they hurt me, they harmed me. But like,
Yes,
you got to take yourself out of that. And if you don't take yourself out of it, all you're doing is
exactly.
going in circles too. So how do you, get to a point where you can cross that bridge. So I think that's a really good point that you're making, honestly. Let's talk a little bit about your entrepreneurship. What inspired you to
Oh my goodness.
be an entrepreneur?
Well, I knew I wanted to own a dance studio, but at the same time,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, it's more than that. So I kept pushing it off. But I didn't see the clear picture. But I was in my son's karate class, and they were
Yeah,
doing like their little what do you call it, mantras, you know. So I went through my who am I
so
phase,
true.
and I realized it's important to like be unique, to be yourself, to be you and know who you are and embrace that person
Mm-hmm.
and be kind to that person and letting go of these limiting beliefs and all that. It's so
Mm-hmm.
important and be authentic to stand up for yourself respectfully and to just genuinely be who you are and have your core beliefs and respect those of others as well. Like that's important. And I was learning how
Mm-hmm.
to forgive. So that was like, oh my gosh, love is so many layers to love.
That's a
Like
good
to
one.
know how to love is like important, right? And so I had
Yeah,
these letters, so I'm like trying to make it abstract.
yeah.
So I'm like, Yola, Lloyd, Lyle, like it just kind of make a word with those like words. And then I was like, I was driving one day and I remember that this lady had told me that I was so resilient. Because I was teaching in like a heart of the most challenging of all challenging classes, schools. It was a non-public school. So these kids got kicked out of public school and they had to go to another school and I was their teacher. And so it was horrible. It was the worst experience. It was traumatizing, okay? So that so
I
let me
believe that.
this is in Sacramento,
And
thank
this
God. It
is
was in
in LA,
Sacramento.
right?
Yeah, but honestly, I don't think it made a
Oh,
difference. Kids are kids. And that was woo, woo, that was hard.
no, they're
And so
brutal.
she told me that I was so resilient. And so like that able to bounce back from difficult situations. That is so important. And then I just saw royal flash before my eyes. And I was like, that's the business. We're doing it. And then that's what inspired it. We just started going. I started off with a pop-up team. Now we're a full-on, like we have a program. We're in schools and the community classes exist.
So
I still
cool.
haven't found a flow and a structure that I'm like that's it. That's what I want to do. I'm still trying to figure out how to really structure this
Hmm.
thing. So that just came up because that's been on my mind like this morning. I'm like, Carmen, don't think about that right now. It's going to stress you out. But focus on today. Where are you at? The zoo. Look at the animals. Be
Heard.
present in the
I get
moment.
that.
Don't breathe hard though, because you can smell the giraffe poop. No deep breathing. Okay, just be present in the moment. Say that for later.
Save that for later.
No inhale and exhale right now.
Fair,
Right, but
fair,
no, like
fair.
it.
No,
Yeah, so
fair point.
that inspired the journey, and there's still like, and also there's just this desire in me that wants to make a living doing the things that I enjoy. Like, oh my God, I remember, like, I think I was a bank teller at
Fair.
one point in time. I could not stand that job. Like, for one, I wasn't good at it. So I'm sorry for the people's bank accounts I messed up, but I was horrible. And like, being on, forgive me, I won't say where or when, but it was that. And I just remember like watching the time go and like, oh, it's only been 5 minutes. Like,
Mm.
oh, I hate that. There's
I got a
no
long day
way
ahead of
I can
me.
live life like that. There's no way I'm not built to be a person that can do stuff that is not purposeful. I hate wasting time. Like I told you earlier, that's a pet peeve of mine. So
Mm.
if it's not aligned
Mm.
with anything that I'm doing in life or what I'm passionate about or helping someone, you know, within the areas that I feel like is my thing, then I just have a hard time doing it and enjoying it. I don't want to live like
Mhm.
that. Like, heck no. Life is too short to be doing like unpurposeful crap. Unless you intentionally want to do unpurposeful crap and that's your thing.
Mm. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, now that's a rabbit hole I won't go down. But at least it's got
Whatever
to
it
be
is.
meaningful to you,
Mm-hmm.
whatever that is, Like, yeah, like it's like when we moved to Florida. it was really big for me. I was like, "What? We got tennis courts here, and I can just play on them whenever I want." Like, I haven't played tennis since I was a
Yeah.
teenager. I want to get back into it. And then my husband's like, "You're
Like
a
on the
little
court.
too into this."
Yes.
I'm like, I am. And I'm super competitive. But like for me, I hadn't gotten a chance to really flex that muscle. I had to choose so many times in my life I had to choose like what I wanted to do, where I wanted to be, how it, and again, this podcast is not about me, so but and so Wes like, you know what? I was like, fuck this. I'm nearly 40 years old. Like, I was like, you got to play cricket. My husband's British. Your entire fucking life. You had two very supportive parents who made sure you had like everything you wanted and
Hmm.
more. I was like,
I'm
I
playing
didn't have
tennis.
that. I'm gonna
Now go
go
buy me a
fucking play tennis now
skirt
that I can. Like,
and the shoes.
exactly. And he's like, okay, what's wrong with you, crazy lady? I'm like, I'm not done as an A. But then equally, um, I would wish I could be,
Hmm.
just a stay-at-home mom who was content with that, but I'm not. Like I like talking to people. I love having a podcast. Like I like writing. It gets stressful, but at the same time, it's like I wouldn't feel
Yeah.
complete if I wasn't doing something that made me better. So that's just a long-winded way of saying like these are certain things that are really important to me. They've
Hmm.
always been really important to me, and now I choose to do them for a lot of reasons, mainly me, but also to be a, lighthouse for my son. Like I don't need to make millions of dollars,
Yeah.
but I do need to feel fulfilled. And I could get hit by a bus tomorrow, and I want to at least go out knowing that,
Yeah.
hey,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I was trying
Yeah.
to do my thing and be
Yeah.
fulfilled and do what makes me feel like it's my purpose. So I agree. That resonates with me. Can you go through what the acronym of Royals means and why that was like
Yeah.
so
Well, yeah.
impactful to you to
So,
have all those
as I
words
was
in there?
sharing that these were these characteristics that I thought, if you're resilient, that's what the R for in Royal stands for. If you're resilient, if you're able to bounce back from difficult situations, okay,
Mm-hmm.
that's going to help you navigate life because life is not perfect. It's like we were talking about this earlier. You're going to get thrown with a whole bunch of curveballs. I got hit with a curveball at 20, and so my first child. And so it's like, how do I could have
It's a
just,
big curveball.
I can't even think of another scenario for that situation because I don't think I've ever would have chosen that situation. But to bounce back, like I didn't quit college,
Mm.
like I moved home, I enrolled in Zach State,
Mm-hmm.
and I did what I had to do. I didn't let having a child stop me from graduating college, and being optimistic, for having like this mindset to you're not negating what could go wrong, you're not negating that, but you're just being hopeful and confident of your future success no matter what it looks like. It could not be
Yeah.
perfect, it could not be my ideal situation, but I'm confident that I think there's this guy out here from Sacramento. His name is Armani Easley, and he told me this. He was talking to my kids, and I thought, oh my God, this resonated with me so well. But he defined optimism as an opportunity, or knowing that in life there's opportunities for it's either a lesson, a blessing, or opportunity for growth. Everything you go through in life is either a lesson, a blessing, or opportunity for growth. That takes out whether the situation is good or bad. It doesn't matter. Is it a
I like
lesson, a
that.
blessing, or an opportunity for you to grow? And I think that's important to have that
Mm.
mindset in this crazy ass life. And so, and to know who you are and be
True.
grounded in
Very
who you
true.
are. I mean, come on, social Instagram, we can go down the rabbit hole of what someone else's life looks like, and they're perfectly like curated, like profile grid with everything matches and all the filters or whatever, lack of it, just perfect. You can start to yes. It's a little bit of
That's
mine
not
because
mine.
I enjoy it, but
No, not mine,
I
by
mean,
the way.
right, right. I'm like,
Hey,
oh, look
good
at
for
this.
you if
I
it
kind of
brings you
like the
joy.
creator in me. It's like a kid coloring in a coloring book. But And also not to judge those who love to do that. Do it, because I do it too. But I went through this phase where I was comparing my Instagram to other people's Instagram and tweaking, trying to change it to, and like, and now I'm not that
Yeah.
person at all anymore. I do what feels good to me. I'm like, what resonates in me, what fulfills
Mm,
me, not in a selfish way, but it's like going back to that analogy of a kid painting. You're coloring, and you're like, oh yeah, this is good. Like, because you thought that and you enjoyed that, and I think I'd use the analogy of social media, but in
right.
how many different areas do we specifically as women do that comparison thing? Like, what sparked that journey for me to like,
Yeah.
um, want to know who oh, well, that, that was really it. But, oh, sorry. Sorry. Like, I just had like a vision. So I'm like, what really sparked that was a
It's
vision, but
okay.
we're not going to
You're
go there
fine.
because that's
All
a whole
good.
other situation. But one thing that came up was like, because God he'll give me visions and he'll speak to me. But one thing he said to me was like, he was like, you're looking out the
Hmm.
window to see who you are. I want you to look in the mirror. And that was like, oh, like that was those type of things go to your belly and you're like, all right. So I went on this
Damn.
journey and I was like, well, God, who do you say I am? And so I started searching for not every, but a lot of scriptures that just where God was explaining who we are, who I am to him. I'll make it personal, who I am to him. And I would meditate on those scriptures and journal about them
Mm,
and affirm myself with those. And so within that space, I was like in that space when I was coming out with Royals, like I was going through that identity thing. And so I knew that knowing who you are, being unique, being your own self was so important. To know you're fearfully and wonderfully made. Like, and that's beautiful. Like,
yeah.
imagine if there was just like one flower, one type of flower in the whole world. That could be no more flowers. It was only a red rose, and it had to look, the petals, everything had to look exactly the same. Like, no, it's not realistic and it's not beautiful. You can have bouquets or anything like that. So it's like, it was important for me to let these youths know how beautiful and how freeing and how fun too, because it could be fun to just be you are more than that. That's actually what we're talking about right now in Royals,
Mhm.
is being unique. Um and uh and even so much so, like, you're so unique, like you have the power to control your emotions with your breath. How unique is that? Like those type of things, how the unique things your body can do. Like, that's the space that we're in a world. So these are life skills and life tools for these
Mhm.
kids. And the next one we're going into with authenticity, and I might have to just start the next school year off with this one, but I'm seeing it in these kids and how we talk to each other. And oh my gosh, like
Mm.
woo, like they just be yelling at each other, but then also like to be your real self. It's like you can communicate your feelings respectfully, and all this stuff. And it's important for you to do that, and
Yeah,
for
absolutely.
you can go so many different directions with this, but to be secure in who you are and stand up for what you think is important and your core values respectfully, and respect others' opinions and views too. Have you can have your
Right.
own opinions and views. You can share those with others. And if you don't share them with others, you can respect their others, even if you don't agree with it. Like, hello, that's okay. Like, it's okay to do that. Like, so to train them up in that, it's important. So, and like I said, with love, like we all know the importance of love. So
Mhm.
to coach these youth and even to remind ourselves as adults about these things and the importance of them, and how to shift our mindsets to where it's embedded in how we naturally think and our point of view, that's changing the world right there. Changing the way people
Mhm.
think.
Amen. My husband always says we lost the art of debate these days. It's like everybody has to agree or they're wrong. And I'm like,
Yeah.
kind of agree with you. Like it's like, can't we just agree to disagree and do it respectfully? And then,
Right.
wasn't
Right.
politics always about compromise? We're not going to go down that rabbit hole. But like, No, it's like you can't even compromise anymore.
Because
It's
I
like
don't
you're a
like
bad, evil, horrible
apples.
human. No, you're a bad, evil, horrible human. It's like you're
What?
no, oranges are the best, and you're just like,
Right.
get over
I,
yourselves. You guys are a bunch of
yeah.
children. Anyway, just like so I think you're bringing up really good
And
points,
I
like
think we personalize everything. Like it's like
okay,
if someone like, okay, this is I was talking I was wine tasting the past weekend, right?
hmm
And we were like eating
so
the cheese,
annoying.
right? And I was like, I don't like goat cheese; it's nasty. But then I realized I generalized that for everyone, right? This is how sensitive we are right now. Then someone goes, well, I don't like nasty stuff, and I had to go back
Yeah.
because I could feel the energy. I could feel the energy. It was a defense, like you were defending yourself because you like it, right? And so I had to go back and say that I don't
Yeah.
have the palate for it, so it doesn't taste good to me. It's because of my palate. I had to take ownership of why
hmm
I didn't like this thing. But why did I have to do that?
Yeah.
Like, like why are we all so sensitive and feel like everyone's attacking us?
Let's just be clear here. We are not like I see this with my son. Like he thinks he's the fucking center of the universe, and I'm like, no. Somebody needs to rain on your parade. And I don't mean that like as in a gruesome, like horrible way. Like I just mean it. It's like it's not all about you, kid. And I said to him, it's not all about you, kid. It's not. There's 20 kids in your class. There's 200 kids in your damn school. Like
Right,
there's
right. The
20
sun does
teachers. Like
not
it's not all
rotate
about
around
you.
you.
I don't know if you're like Galileo or whatever, but like this is not you are not the center of the
Right. I think we
universe.
all could
Get over
take that.
yourself. Fucking hell. I don't really know how
Yeah,
to do
there's that
I don't know how
communication
to do
thing
that
that I need to
eloquently
work on.
either.
But
So
yeah, no, 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 no. So I mean, so that's where it came from, and it came from a place of love. It came from a place of wanting to like to to nurture and to help and to be a resource and be a
hmm
support. It came from a place from wanting to uplift, and it came from a place where I'm still doing it in myself. Like it all came out of me. Like the words were like come from my mind and my experiences. So literally this business came from my heart, when you think about it like that. So
Well, and it's almost like if you can give these tools to kids who didn't have them or
yeah.
need them, I mean, younger,
Oh
what
my
kind
gosh.
of
Yes,
obstacles are
seriously. So
you
much so to
avoiding in the
where I'm
future?
gonna have to like extend, like pay another
hmm
like I'm getting certified in IntelliDance because of that exact thing. Like it's a way for us to help parents bond or our caregivers bond with their children as babies, like zero, starting at
Mm.
newborn, to bond and connect and to use movement and touch to create that bond, and music and rhythm to do that. And it's
Mm.
such a beautiful program, but I haven't been able to dedicate I should not say I haven't been able to. I have not dedicated time to finish it. So once again, I got to pay another $99 so I can extend my like time to finish my certification. But that when you say that you get to go with the kids young, that program really resonated with me because it's like, oh my God, as a special education teacher, a lot of these kids, when you look at their background and see what they went through, it was because of
Yeah.
these relationships, the type of environment that they grew up in. If I can do something to where I could shift that environment and it be a space where these kids feel loved and supported and the parents feel loved and supported and we nurture their bond and we talk about,
hmm
we work on our communication skills and all that stuff. Like, oh, now that right there is getting to the core before it begins to sprout into something else. You get to kind of influence that environment for the better.
Yeah, I think that's really poignant as well because I always have like a word and apparently poignant is my one today. Um, with kids, there's so much if you get in like especially early, like before 5. What I've realized, my husband and I are both very Celtic
Mm-hmm.
temperaments, so we're very like very fiery, very feisty. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh, like I catch, and even though I do a good job like catching myself sometimes, I'm like, "Ugh,
Yeah.
this is really not a good behavior." Because then I see it in my son. I'm like, shit, he's got two parents like that. So we're like, okay, we have to like take a deep breath. Ooh, deep breaths are hard. But your kid will model what they see, particularly from like, I think it's 3 to 5 is like hypercritical, and then like 4 to 8 is like the next like super critical like age range. And this is coming from like a social worker that I've interviewed before, and I was like, oh shit, I really need to. But all that to say is like if you can get in there and you can get in early and you can teach
Yeah.
certain tools
Yeah.
beforehand, like again, you're just you know
Yeah.
giving them things that they can work with that are much
Exactly.
more
Exactly. You're putting out
apropos
those
than
flames before it
screaming
turns
and
into a full-on
yelling.
fire.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Amen to that. Uh, so, what would you say to other women, especially mothers who are thinking about going for their dream or have an idea that might be scared? Like, what
You know
really
what? It's
motivated you to
just
take
like
the
I said,
plunge for
you just feel
Royals?
compelled. You feel like I have to do this. Like it's coming out. It's just it just starts burning.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like this burning desire that you got to go take care of it. I mean, and that's what pushed me out the
Hmm.
classroom. I got so uncomfortable in my environment. Like at work, I was like I said, I was a special ed teacher, and so I couldn't do when I was literally having panic. Like, you know, they have like
Um,
fire drills where you like, if it's a fire or if it's an earthquake drill, you know what to do, all that.
mhm.
There was Ms. Goche's having like a panic attack drill. So when
Yeah.
I was having a panic attack, they knew exactly what to do. And, because they knew exactly what to do, it ran like a ship. I would go next door
Oh
because
my
my wing
gosh.
was perfect. I had the perfect setup. The school
Wow.
psychologist was next door. We shared a wall. So I would go to her room. She'll come into my room. She'll keep an eye on my kids. I will lay down on her floor. I would write, I would journal, whatever I needed to do until I got myself calm, and then I would go back to my classroom. My kids, when I walked back in there, everything was in order. They were on task. They were doing what they needed to do. We had a system. And so the fact that I had to have that tells me that I was not in the right place.
Wow.
I would go, one of my coworkers, the other one, so a couple rooms down, he told me one day,
Wow.
he was like, Carm, he goes, you're feeling like this because you're a fish out of water right now. You're not in your right environment. It's time for you to get out of here. You're flapping all over the place
Mm.
because you don't belong here anymore. Literally. And that's what I felt like. I was flapping all over the place, chest pounding like crazy. And so
You're like,
and I had to go. And it's like when when it's time, like,
wow.
and it's okay to be in the idea phase for a little while. You know what I mean? So don't feel like just because you have this idea that I want to start a business that you got to go do it tomorrow. Like
Hmm.
let it marinate. Go ahead and start. I started with a vision board. Start with the vision board. Start like journaling. I still have journals that are dedicated just for my business, and you put your ideas down there, and you'll start feeling urges to where it's time to act on it, and it's going to be scary, and it's never going to not be scary. So you can't wait till it's not you wait till you don't feel afraid. You're always going to feel afraid. Even in the business, I still get afraid about stuff. And you're going to be confused. I'm confused now. So like it's like
Amen.
it's always going to be there. So just know that you have support, you know what I mean? Like there are, especially now, there's a coach for everything. So you need to
Mm.
get you a coach, get yourself a coach, and just go for it. And there's not going to be a perfect situation. Just go for it. If you feel compelled to do it, go for it, and don't worry, everything's going to work out. It just always does.
I love that you said that,
Yeah,
and it's so true because that's how I feel like I'm just figuring it out every day.
exactly.
Like we all are doing our best. Like, some days I'm on it, some days I'm
Yeah.
not. And
You just got to you got to just make the
I
choices
don't know
that
what
you feel
else to
are the best. You
say.
know what I mean? And so, yeah. And you're going to have those hard moments, like
Yeah,
when I
absolutely.
leaving my career with 2 children as a single mom post pandemic, the rent rates are like rising in Sacramento, like to leave us a stable career to pursue this was scary as heck.
Yeah.
But right on the side of that, yeah, I had a spurt to where I'll just be transparent. Like we had to live off of my credit card for a little while. Like some of them, like I went through that spurt, but now I got a contract, a good one, and we're sustaining, you know, and it's okay. And it's gonna grow from here. It's still the beginning stages, but had I been trying to still be I mean, and I still like work. I just don't do royals. Like I'm a substitute. So, you know, yeah, you know, but there's flexibility there. But like, you know, I'm not completely crazy,
Yeah.
but it's like, you know, just a little crazy, not completely crazy, just a little crazy. But, you know, it just, yeah, go for it. Don't worry about the situation. It's not going to be perfect. Just go for it. If I can do it, and you know, and survive. Like I do feel like I'm going like this, like I'm like treading water and I'm trying not to like sink, you know, but eventually I'll be on the ship sailing.
Yeah.
One day.
I'm sailing away. Not sure that's the best song, but yeah. I'm gonna go that one. Is there any other nada that we need to
you
know?
know,
Anything else
I would just
we wanna
say
share?
that like grace over perfection. Grace over perfection. Like, yeah, grace over perfection in every situation. Grace over perfection. You will be
That's a good one.
empowered with what you need when you need it, and that's it. Oh,
That's amazing. And where can
yes.
people
So
find
my
more about your
website
dance
is
company and what you do?
royal-dancers.com. And then our Instagram is at official royal dancers. That's the S at the end.
Okay.
And then my personal Instagram is at Be Royal with Carm. Be Royal with Carm.
Be Royal with Carm.
I'm getting married.
I feel like that has like a Mary J. Blige, like, you know, hook in there. Some it's like, I just felt this like vibe coming through. Sorry.
I was listening to her song this morning. Love is all
She's the best.
we need.
She's queen. She's amazing. I'm the mom who knows nada. My name is Brianna. This has been Carmelita. And until next time, hope y'all are having fun.